The morning Ambassador Velthar received the human delegation's final transmission, she almost deleted it without reading. Human communications had become increasingly terse over the past cycle, and the Zephyrian diplomat had grown tired of their constant complaints about unfair representation and systematic discrimination. The message was shorter than expected. The Terran Federation formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. All human personnel will vacate Council facilities within 7 standard days. We thank the Council for the educational experience. Velthar's mandibles clicked in amusement. Educational experience? How typically human. Dramatic to the end. She forwarded the message to the Council archives and promptly forgot about it. The first sign of trouble came 3 days later. Ambassador, her aide chittered nervously, the automated translation protocols are malfunctioning. We're receiving reports from 17 different species about communication breakdowns. Velthar's secondary eyes focused on the datapad. Krillian Ambassador couldn't understand the Nexari trade proposals. The Vorthak military was sending encrypted transmissions that no one could decode. Even basic diplomatic courtesies were being lost in translation. Contact the Technical Services Division, she ordered. Have them run a full diagnostic. But Technical Services was in chaos. The quantum computing arrays that powered the Council's translation matrix were operating at 12% efficiency. Backup systems were failing one by one, displaying error messages in a script that nobody recognized. It took them 6 hours to realize the script was human. By the end of the first week, the situation had escalated beyond mere inconvenience. The Galactic Trade Network had suffered its first complete shutdown in 4 centuries. Without real-time translation, negotiations had devolved into confused shouting matches. 3 border disputes had erupted when diplomatic messages were catastrophically mistranslated. "How is this possible?" Velthar demanded, her usually pristine diplomatic composure cracking. "We managed intergalactic communication for millennia before the humans arrived." Senior Technician Krax's 6 arms gestured helplessly at his displays. "That was before we integrated their systems, Ambassador. The humans, they didn't just contribute to our translation protocols. They rewrote them entirely, made them exponentially more efficient, more nuanced. We came to depend on their linguistic algorithms without realizing it." The second week brought worse revelations. The Council's defensive fleet reported critical failures in their navigation systems. Ships were getting lost in hyperspace, unable to calculate jump coordinates without the human-designed astrogation computers. Emergency beacon networks went silent as the elegant human coding that maintained them simply stopped. Food distribution systems collapsed across 12 sectors. The humans had revolutionized agricultural logistics, creating supply chains so efficient that worlds had abandoned their backup systems. Now, planets that hadn't grown their own food in decades faced starvation. "We need to contact Earth immediately," Velthar declared during an emergency session. "Demand they restore our systems." But Earth wasn't answering. Long-range scanners showed the Sol system eerily quiet, its massive space stations and orbital shipyards apparently abandoned. When a desperate Council fleet finally reached Terra, they found empty cities and vacant spaceports. Humanity had simply left. They'd taken their knowledge with them. The third week brought the final humiliation. The Nexari hegemony, the Council's oldest and most powerful member state, announced its withdrawal. "We cannot remain part of an organization that allowed itself to become so dependent on a single species," their premier declared. "The humans, understood something we all missed. True power lies not in domination, but in making yourself indispensable. Other species began following suit. The Krillian Empire, the Zephyrian Confederacy. Even the proud Vorthak military acknowledged their fleet was useless without human targeting systems. Velthar stood alone in the vast council chambers, once filled with representatives from 300 worlds. The crystalline walls that had witnessed eons of galactic diplomacy now echoed only with the hum of failing life support systems. Systems maintained by human engineers who were no longer there to repair them. She finally understood the humans' parting message. It had been educational for everyone involved. Humans hadn't conquered the galaxy through force or intimidation. They'd done something far more elegant and devastating. They'd made themselves essential. While other species had focused on military might or economic dominance, humans had quietly woven themselves into the very fabric of galactic civilization. Their engineers had built the infrastructure. Their programmers had coded the software. Their linguists had bridged the communication gaps between species. And when the Council had consistently ignored their calls for equal representation, when their innovative proposals were dismissed because they were too young as a spacefaring species, when their cultural contributions were marginalized, they'd done the most human thing imaginable. They'd left. Quietly, efficiently, and permanently. The irony wasn't lost on Velthar as she began composing her resignation. In trying to keep humans in their place, the Council had learned exactly what that place was, the center of everything. That mattered. Somewhere in the void between stars, humanity was building something new, and this time, Velthar suspected, they wouldn't be quite so generous with their gifts. The galaxy had taught them well.